A YouTuber named Kamadina is recording his sister and parents in a parking lot while on vacation when he gets the strange and eerie sensation that he is being watched. He turns around and walks for a bit in the direction that he feels he is being watched from, and then he zooms in. Sure enough, this pale figure stands facing him from afar.
What is that?
He turns around to go back into his hotel, but the feeling of eyes upon him returns. He turns around to take in the figure one last time, who is still standing in the same spot far away from all of the cars and everything else of interest. Their white outfit looks suspiciously bright given the low lighting.
That was weird. Wait a minute.
Kamadina hasn't a clue as to what this could be, or if one day he will see it again soon, much closer next time. Luan Mendez is a YouTuber who is unafraid to put his life on the line in the name of a paranormal investigation, and as this video goes to show, ready to explore the scariest local legends he can find. One such legend revolves around a dismal force known only as La Señora Fantasma, or the Ghost Lady. The Ghost Lady is said to still roam the home she passed away in years ago. In life, she earned a reputation as a taker of lives and lived a wicked existence full of hatred until the very end. Her spirit is said to still reflect in the bathroom mirror. If you go in there and call upon her for an unholy visit, which is tonight's goal, they start by rather rudely calling her name outside of the property, hoping to get her to come through the window. She doesn't appear, so they step inside. The place has been stripped bare, but overall it looks somewhat inhabitable, at least as far as abandoned places go, but it's more about the way it feels than its aesthetics. Something about the small and cramped space that feels ill-fitting and all wrong, like nothing good has ever happened here, and only unimaginable horrors can befall anyone foolish enough to stay inside. They creep their way to the room where her legendary mirror hangs unblemished amidst the clutter. Luan stands alone while his friends keep watch. His tone is expectant and again, not very polite as he addresses the infamous Ghost Lady in more of a challenge than a request.
Aparece aqui, senhora. Vamos ver. Nada.
They are all about to leave, but they decide to try to turn on the shower just to see what happens. To their surprise, clean water drips out of a rusty pipe that shouldn't work and doesn't even have a shower head. This was probably where she hung what was left of the lives she took, upside down and filleted open to drain in the shower. Seeing this broken shower work again shortly after doubling her powers makes them rethink their situation and wonder if they should have taken a nicer tone. But that doesn't matter because it's too late now. They are walking towards the exit and everything seems much more negative and dreadful than the first time around, more of a feeling than anything else, as if a great evil has awoken and is spreading across the otherwise plain walls. And that's when she appears, not when Luan tells her to, nor in the mirror where she's supposed to be according to legend, but maybe that's the entire point. Her house, her rules. They hole up in the room for a while and discuss what to do, but the situation takes care of itself by the time they open the door. The lady seems to have proven her point that she is real and vanishes just as quickly as she came. This video would be easy enough to fake because realistically speaking, all they would need is for an older woman to stand in the doorway, which coincidentally is a lot easier to do than actually using special effects to get her into the mirror. For these reasons, I think this video might not be real, but that doesn't necessarily mean the legend itself isn't true, or that something else wasn't watching them from the shadows all along. I dare you to watch these scary videos. All I can say is good luck. This is some very scary stuff. There's nothing like Russian dashcam videos. They're usually next level crazy. This video clip is no different. A red Volkswagen is seen cutting off the driver with the dash cam and another car in front of him. So when they reach a red light, the driver decides to rev his engine and pass the Volkswagen. Big mistake. After they pass him, the Volkswagen speeds up again to pull around the driver and cuts him off, blocking his way forward. Then a man dressed in black gets out of his vehicle to confront the dashcam driver. After a very brief exchange of pleasantries, the Volkswagen owner opens the trunk of his vehicle and reaches for a golf club. Apparently, the faintest confrontation in Russia on the road can lead to brutal results, of your vehicle at least. Things have been known to quickly escalate on the Russian roads. In the woods near Crybaby Bridge, this paranormal crew asks the spirit if he likes their company, and the spirit answers. Published by Hauntings of Ohio in February of 2020, the scary paranormal communication was captured on video. The video shows the crew communicating through a spirit box. After posting the video, this is the answer they receive.
Do you like our company? What the?
The guys say this is one of the clearest and most demonic voices they've ever caught on camera. Terrifying though it is, at least the answer was yes.
Do you like our company? What the? Dude!
That was crystal clear, dude.
Yes.
Have you ever gone on a real-life witch hunt? Way of Vlogs has, and he published his scary encounter in June of 2016 writing, "Finally found where the witch has been living." The YouTuber must have posted other videos of the witch prior to searching for her abode. In this footage, he claims that these stick crosses that he's come across in the woods indicate where the witch he encountered is living. He says there's logs in this wooded area and ceremonial things, although none of that is shown. Then he points out the strangest thing, a teepee made of sticks. As he's filming the teepee, something sets him on edge. He pans around and off to the left stands a woman with jet black hair dressed in white. She's unmoving, but her presence there is unnerving enough to make the YouTuber hightail it out of there. What would you do if you came across this lady in the forest at night? Turnshaw Special School in Kirkburton was destroyed by a massive fire in July of 2009. Many residents phoned the fire department after noticing flames coming from the building. Hurd and his crew of 50 firefighters were dispatched to the area around 6 p.m. The size of the fire was enormous and required a lot of manpower. The crew managed to control the fire enough to save one of the buildings, but it took all night and 5 jets to take down the flames. Residents were told to stay indoors while the fire department did its job. The fumes were thick and some residents claimed that the firefighters were warning residents about asbestos. Huddersfield Fire Station crew manager Mark Hurd stated that these were indicators that the fire was started on purpose. It's unclear where the investigation into the matter led, but this was certainly one extremely large fire. Midlothian, Scotland is no stranger to witches. Salem was bizarre enough, but the Great Scottish Witch Hunt was on a whole other level. This drone video sure seems to suggest that witches continue to walk among us, or at least they walk in quiet fields within our vicinity. That's what this alleged witch was doing when captured on video by a drone. The woman dressed in a red skirt, black top, and with long, lanky, black, maybe gray hair, is first seen standing quite still in the field. The video then shows her turning around, swaying slightly, her face quite pale. She seems to be dancing or performing some ritual as she raises her hands in the air and then places a foot forward. Is this a real-life witch? If not, what in the world is she doing? Andre Gennaro published this epic encounter between a drone and a motorbike in March of 2014. First off, I'm taking guesses on who comes out of the other side of this incident unscathed. The biker and the drone meet. Just as he takes his motorbike off a jump, at top speed the bike collides with the drone, and then all you see is the aftermath. When the drone's operator picks up his aircraft, you can see the biker laying on the ground, apparently the worse for wear of the pair. We're guessing the biker's injuries were not dire, as the drone's operator is seen laughing off the incident. Just goes to show that these fun, high-flying devices can be dangerous when in the wrong hands. This video is also posted on my Chills Narrator subreddit by a user named Bbors. Whenever they find themselves at this particular highway intersection, their Lexus starts beeping out of control.
Okay, this intersection, it always happens here.
These innovative car sensors are designed to alert the driver when someone is in front of the car. No one is anywhere near them, but here you see both of the yellow arrows are lit, meaning it detects someone straight ahead. Seconds later, you can see the right arrow is on, which means that someone is now moving to the right. I just wanted to stress that this never happens at any other intersections, only this one. And according to Bbors, this event has occurred 4 times in the past 2 years alone. With this evidence in mind, this intersection could definitely be the haunting ground of someone who didn't make it across the road in one piece. While exploring an abandoned house, make note of what happens in your periphery. Published in March of 2021, the footage you're about to see was recorded in France around 11 p.m. as a pair of paranormal investigators round the corner of a dark, empty room. They discover that it isn't empty after all. Just beyond a picture that's leaning against the wall, a figure moves quickly out of sight as the light falls upon it. It happens so fast that it's difficult to see what the figure even is, but it appears as though it's crouched slightly as it rises up before pulling out of view. The 2-man crew approaches the hallway to investigate, but there's nothing there. Did it somehow soundlessly disappear into one of these rooms? Or as we suspect, did it disappear into thin air? The UK explorer reaches the top floor of an abandoned house and finds himself standing outside of an old break room kitchen. He takes a single step inside and is met with the sound of old material crumbling beneath his feet.
Just going into one of the rooms that we found in a house that belonged to the factory. Nice kitchen. I did in fact fall. Luckily I didn't go right through.
He falls up to his waist and puts his arms out at the last second to save himself, shutting off his camera in the process. A newly formed hole in the brittle floor shows a massive drop, ending in piles of sharp-edged debris. Even if he did survive the fall, no one was around to help 4 miles in all directions. Number 11. Time to break out the sage again. Posted to TikTok by Ratliff Wife, this Ring security footage was captured at around 9:30 p.m. in March of 2022. The video shows the front porch of a home. After a moment, a dark shadow moves across the camera. The shadow reappears several times over the course of a minute. Several bugs appear in the clip, but they are clear. Nothing looks like this shadow. The uploader says their dog was also growling in the room at the time this video was captured. Did it sense something? Some in the comments think so, with Carolyn Mulhall writing, "Pets know, better start praying." And it's true that many people swear that pets seem to have an easier time seeing the paranormal than humans. This scary Reddit video was posted by a user named Naval Court, who says he caught a spirit giving his friend's child a hard time while it's trying to rest. First, the child stands up as if he sees somebody enter, or maybe he's even called over. He slowly looks up at something much taller than him, and as soon as he lays his eyes upon it, he falls with force. He sits off and shakes it off, and then something flies by overhead. He even looks over his shoulder and sees it. Some people think the kid is just acting silly, as children tend to do, and maybe even shaking his head to try and stay awake. But I agree with Naval Court that this is weird and could be a ghost like he thought. Published in April 2017 by Steve Cody. This video allegedly shows a ghost haunting a swimming pool. In the description, Steve writes, "I noticed my camera picked up motion around my pool about a week ago. After midnight, I watched the whole video with my wife, and there's a ghost or something floating over the pool. He said it lingered there for several minutes. The video does in fact show a light floating over his dark swimming pool at night. It just hovers in the top right corner of the screen, bouncing back and forth a bit. So what is it? A luminous ghost? A ghost holding something luminous? Whatever it is, don't go in the water. A TickToker named Gallagher's from Jersey checks up on his child when he notices a second small head facing the opposite way and looking up. Its features vacant and half deformed. He rushes into the room and in his rage says he'll put an end to the spirit and calls it a name.
You son of a
Which I'm not sure was the best approach to take considering it had such easy access to his child. Look at this alleged ghost sighting again up close. It doesn't really look like a blanket or a toy to me, but I could be wrong. He never does show us the crib, but I guess he never figured out what it was since he went ahead and uploaded this strange video for us to analyze. Zakenikov is exploring the Bower House, an old farmhouse in West Virginia, when he catches something of interest leaning out the window. This gray specter watches over them from afar. If you still don't see it, it's looking to the left and the lighter colored area at the bottom is its right shoulder. Don't worry, if it's too hard to see, Zake didn't see it at first either. His camera passes right over it and doesn't notice until they were already far away. I think it looks like it could be the reflection of a cloud, but at the same time I do agree it looks like it could be the spirit of a person watching them enter, and if it is, it doesn't seem pleased. A YouTuber named Unnouns posted this trail cam footage he caught while camping at the foot of Maple Mountain in Ontario. For 2 nights in a row, a strange and loud humming noise made him pass out from 8 at night until 11 in the morning the next day. At first you can only see this curly, out of focus object, but it's actually the arm of this giant creature. If it is a costume, it's really good, and I wouldn't even know where to step in. The blob glows pure white as it curiously handles the camera, then its glow extends to the tree behind. Unknowns claims he had no idea what was camping with him those 2 nights. Do you believe him? I certainly do. A chef and his apprentice rummage around the kitchen to do some last-minute prep work before opening. One of them undoes the plastic ties from all of the bread and then takes a few steps away. Moments later, he looks over only to see a single remaining piece of bread raise itself in the air and land in the corner with a smack. He tries to explain what happened to a coworker as he examines the bread for anything wrong, finding nothing. I was waiting for it to jump back out after he throws it away, but I guess it's done moving for now. Everybody probably thought he was going crazy, and maybe he did too, until they checked out this haunting video for themselves and posted it online. Mustafa Sven is one of the very few brave paranormal exploration channels from Iraq, and he is definitely one of the best. Let's check out a 24-hour challenge he took at a scary haunted abandoned house that he's always been afraid to go exploring. It isn't long until paranormal entities come wailing for him, and all of the creepiness is caught on video with 2 different cameras. It starts with little things that are quite weird, like a shadow moving strangely in the hall behind him. I mean, yeah, I guess it could just be his hand, but the shadow doesn't exactly follow his movements, and I don't know, the angles just don't match up. Then, shortly after the spooky shadow passes by, more weird things are caught on camera. The backpack is actually very well balanced and should not tip over, and it bothers him that it does. He tries to recreate the situation and cannot. Scary noises aside, the backpack is far from the only object caught on camera moving by itself on this haunted night. A stone silently dislodges from the mantelpiece and crashes to the ground, followed by another one. The poltergeist is pulling this house apart brick by brick, willing to do whatever it takes to scare this ghost hunter away. A padlock bounces on its own like a ghost is trying to open the door. Watch closely and tell me if you think this is a poltergeist or someone on the other end of the door poking through the crack with a stick. But just when I was beginning to think this video might not be paranormal, it becomes one of the creepiest videos I've seen in a long time. A rising wave of spirits closing in makes him realize this 24-hour challenge needs to be cut about 20 hours short, and so he finally leaves. Posted in March of 2020 by YouTuber Steve Ronan, he explores what he describes as an old church that's been around for 100 years, with power still on and with rumors of rituals still being performed there. Accompanied by paranormal investigator Andrew, Steve and his team set out to explore this temple, which Andrew claims holds dark rituals inside. It's no great surprise then that demons supposedly haunt the place. They arrive on the scene of a truly spooky abandoned place at night, a cemetery surrounding it, overgrown with foliage. Inside the place, there's a door that leads beneath it, which reminds Steve of an abandoned place he previously explored with a tomb below. Opening the door, there appears to be firewood and mason jars down there. As they continue to explore, in the temple, is that an overhanging light starts swinging. Supposedly no one touched it. They start to hear noises.
Yeah, you were with us.
Did you just hear that clang?
Probably. Hello? You guys hear that?
A scream that sounds like a little girl, a sound from the light which Steve describes like a spine cracking.
Whoa! Scream! That was like a little girl, bro.
Bro, the light's it's moving back again.
Wow, it just went.
You didn't hear that?
Yeah, the light just went.
It sounded like a spine cracking.
They consider exploring the room below, but a load of spiders prevents them. As they continue around the temple, on the ground they find a pile of burnt books and some cards laid out. 666. Another 6 is placed above, though Steve is unsure what it all means. As Andrew is messing about with an AM/FM radio, Steve feels something on his back. He says he feels like there's a spider there. He removes his coat so that Andrew can check it out. There is no spider, but 2 red marks streak across his back. The pair of scratches run from top to bottom, as if he's been branded. Steve says it burns, and also denies having scratched it on anything. They wonder if it's a Trinity mark. Some in the comments of this video suggest that he accidentally scratched himself when climbing under the chapel. Others think that it looks like 2 lashes from a whip. Brooklyn Girl 230, however, offers advice. Those mysterious scratches are a warning to you to stay far away from these places. Seems like the smartest conclusion to draw here. A Redditor named RadLad1 made a 3-post series about a possible ghost lurking in his closet. In the first video, he stands outside and hears a dripping noise. It's very quiet, so I'll boost the sound for you to better hear. That sounds like it could be a leaky pipe or something, but look what happens when he goes to open it.
Okay, that's not...
His hand isn't even touching anything when there's a knock from the other side. The question is whether this is a spirit or just someone he knows. The first video piqued Reddit's interest, so he began documenting more. The spirit is in a foul mood on a different night and the noises grow persistent. Radlad1 finds himself reluctantly standing before his haunted closet once again. The air sounds charged with electricity and carries with it a distant wail, and that's when he notices the door is slightly ajar. Okay, so this could be fake, and the second person could be inside the closet, but wouldn't the shadow of their arm show against the wall here when they slam the door? I see nothing. By now, paranormal activity during the day too, whereas before it was just late at night. Everyone is demanding he open the closet and show them what's inside, and he waits until it starts making noises to prove to everyone, once and for all, that this closet is quite haunted. There's absolutely nothing inside but this creepy doll, which says everything I need to know. However, shortly before he opens the closet, there's a brief moment where he zooms out of focus. This could be where he stopped recording to let his friend out, then zoomed back into focus to make it look like a continuous take, but it looks pretty real to me. Aokihara, also known as the Sea of Trees, is an infamous Japanese forest. Well, there are certain areas that are so dense that a feeling of solitude exists there like nowhere else. Sound is also absorbed, allowing for a kind of quiet you've never heard. Yuri, ghosts of the past away from Japanese myths and legends, reside in this forest. Needless to say, the place is grim, and it becomes even more grim when you bring a Ouija board and attempt to talk to the spirits. Brennan Taylor published this video in July of 2017, writing, "We explored the forest to the depths of where normal hikers are not allowed to go. The things we saw changed us, and we will never be the same. We decided it would be a good idea to play the Kukuri-san, which is basically the Japanese equivalent to the Ouija board. First, the man filming asks the board if they're going to run into a body that night, and the board answers 4. Being that there were 4 members in the group, this response must have sent a chill up each of their spines. When asking the spirit if they should be in the forest, the spirit answers no. At one point, one of the crew notes that moths are a sign of the afterlife, and they are all over the place, even landing on the board. They also notice scratch marks on a nearby tree, which seem to indicate that somebody clawed at it, in the shape of an X. They next ask the spirit if they'll find someone that very night. The answer, yes. When they finally decide to leave the forest, they've lost the coin that is used as a planchette. According to the Kukuri-san, one of them must spend the coin within 24 hours of playing, or otherwise there's bad consequences. They backtrack to look for the coin, but the coin is never found. What will happen? Will they have 70 years of bad luck? It's hard to know for sure. All we do know is that they survived to tell the tale and post it on YouTube. What happens when a child opens his mom's Camaro car door in a Target parking lot, and it accidentally dings a guy's car? Well, things escalated quickly, and that's what happens. At least if you run into this unfortunate lady.
That he hit the car, didn't you? You said he hit the car, didn't you? I did. You did. Yep. You did. So get on the phone and tell him that you said that he hit the car.
Jay Rios published this video in September of 2016, writing, "Her son accidentally dings my car. No big deal, but after I inform her of what had happened and requested insurance info, she proceeds to deny what happened and resorts to verbally attacking my wife and I in front of her 2 kids and my boy." And that appears to be exactly what's happening in this video. The woman is seen storming all over the parking lot. As the man's wife is on the phone to the police, she's screaming in the background, "They're lying." Amidst her rant, she asks her son to show her where he hit the car, and after she wanders off, her son does admit the door landed right here, while pointing out the dent on the man's car door. Jay Rios also updated the video descriptor to answer some questions for the audience. He tells us that despite the drama-filled 6 minutes of this video, the scene ended very anticlimactically. The cops arrived and gave him information on how to file a claim if need be at the auto body shop, but they didn't care about the video. even though he had a witness who confirmed that the crazy woman had struck him. He says he can't blame them because the woman was still going off when they were there, and even resorted to telling the police off. After taking his vehicle to the shop a couple days later, the shop verified that the dent could be fixed with paintless dent repair for less than $100, a cost so low that he wasn't going to file a claim, especially since the woman's son told her the truth, and she just didn't want to hear it. This video of urban exploration, published by Backyard Exploration in January 2015, is particularly eerie, because what's scarier than dark, damp tunnels and nowhere to turn? In the video description, Backyard Exploration writes, "As the city grew, much of the underworld was sealed and forgotten. We infiltrate the sewers in search for this lost history. Unlike many entries on this list, these guys mean business. They are decked out with gear, headlamps, ropes, and safety equipment for sewer exploration, and they will need it. The underground is a dangerous place, and if you're claustrophobic, the tight spaces might give you screaming anxiety. Even worse, if you're squeamish, you might want to sit this one out, as there's loads of wading through raw sewage." The exploration shows the bricked underbelly of the sewage system, along with the sewer rats that scurry across the ground and up the walls. Water trickles down from above as the team continues to trapeze through the dark tunnels. The team crawls and climbs through narrow channels to make sure no stone is left unturned, and at one point they even walk waist deep in sewage water, which is sometimes calm, sometimes rushing. In some areas, there are massive amounts of cockroaches skittering across the ceiling of the tunnel. All in all, it's pretty much every phobia imaginable in one. As After Dark said in the comments, this is the stuff that nightmares are made of, this tunnel. But fortunately, this nightmare does come to an end. As the video concludes, they exit the sewage tunnel to breathe fresher air and see daylight again. The adventurer Abdullah Al-Anbari goes exploring an abandoned building in Saudi Arabia in search of a poltergeist, or a jinn as it's referred to in the area. There are many floors to explore and each one holds horrors of its own. He turns around to see a mysterious figure that could be a jinn, or more likely the shadow of the banister in front of it. He continues to explore and the paranormal activity continues to stay one step ahead of him. The ghost keeps throwing objects at him, guiding him in a way towards a final confrontation that he is not ready to witness. He looks up in time to capture a glimpse of a scary round face peering down at him. Tell me what he says to it on his way out. Whatever he says seems to cause him much anger based on what happens next.
ما راح اذيك ترى بس ابغى اتكلم معاك ولا راح اسوي لك شيء. اتوقع انه ما في احد يا جماعه. صدق الله في شيء غريب يا جماعه.
He quickly leaves before the spirit becomes any more upset. A TickTocker named Melody Zaragoza 1121 has an experience she will never forget on a flight, as she later describes simply as being not fun. All of the monitors go haywire and flash on and off in strange patterns, bathing the cabin in a green alien-like glow. At one point, they all turn on at once, almost as if there is some sort of deeper communication efforts at play. But without any further evidence, I would just as soon attribute this experience to faulty wiring, which, now that I think about it, is probably one of the few instances where a ghost could be arguably preferable.
Lil Mayo, you out here?
Spectators gaze overhead at a bizarre white light piercing the sky. Adults and children alike gather in the street with their cell phones out. None of them can figure out what is going on, much less put the situation into words. The whole ordeal almost looks like a helicopter searchlight, except that it makes no noise and does not move at all. A NASA experiment or even a portal to an alternate dimension are two more possibilities, however unlikely they may be. Whatever this is, it happened somewhere over California in October of 2018 and has never been properly explained. Word of warning, always welcome ghouls to the party. If you don't, they will come a haunting. Published by Oliver Fear, this clip's original source is unknown, but believed to be from TikTok. The video shows a party gathered around a swimming pool. As the camera pans around the pool, capturing all the fun, a sullen figure of a young girl dressed in white is seen standing in the grass to the side. When the camera pans back, the creepy ghost girl is gone. Did she abandon the party? Or is she closer than you think? A YouTuber named Tanner Shelton is trying to clear his mind by making a TikTok video at the mall when he accidentally records a phantom figure that disappears after a brief but horrifying moment.
Hey guys, so I decided to just get out of the house today. I think it's probably good for me to keep my mind off of things and just...
She has long black hair over her eyes and a white outfit, and the way she is rooted in place hardly looks like an ordinary shopper going about their day. He admittedly does give her ample time to go back around the corner, so this could have been planned. There seems to be many surprises for new renters or homeowners in these clips. YouTuber Dempsey7 also recently moved into this apartment. He said he rented the place without viewing it because it looked nice and the rent was low, but when he got there, he realized why it was so cheap. There are really high ceilings, like a 19th century monastery in the middle of England, he said. He then takes viewers on a tour through the apartment. There are mirrors all over. All of this is nothing compared to what he found just outside the bathroom. Carved into the floorboards, you can clearly see a hatch in the floor, kitted out with a handle. Dempsey7 says he figured it was a bit of underground storage. He lifts the lid up, and it does appear to be a storage space, that is, until you look beyond the surface and see that the space expands below pretty deeply. Dempsey7 guides viewers down stone stairs that lead into what he calls a dungeon. There is a corridor heading off ahead, lots of stones and discarded brick and wiring. There is a room to the right, directly below Dempsey7's apartment. On the wall is graffiti that reads, CCFC OK, judging from the flooring. Dempsey7 believes it used to be a burial ground. He heads down the corridor. Most of the dungeon is piled with rubbish, dirt, and old brick. He finds a newspaper dating back to 1984. He finds what looks like an old front door. Did someone used to live here? Or perhaps the house was built over an older existing foundation? Whatever the case, a dungeon is one secret room I wouldn't want to find in my new home. Maddie Smith is traveling to the airport with her friends Tyler and Tori when her Uber driver Tony displays some very strange behavior along the way. He makes a remark that immediately puts them on edge, and I wanted to get your opinion on how you would feel if someone randomly said this to you.
God was telling him that someone in the car needed to be saved and we needed to figure out who it was.
Shortly thereafter, he begins reciting scripture that could easily be taken as thinly veiled threats, especially coming from a stranger they've just met.
He was a murderer. Many things that he would suffer.
I personally think that he should have been able to see the rather obvious discomfort on Maddie's face and probably should have stopped this discussion, but he continues to steer the conversation towards his beliefs. He's been talking for a long time now, and Maddie hears the GPS telling him to turn around because they've missed their exit. She claims that Tony later admits that he was missing the exits on purpose. My question is if he wanted to simply ramble at them some more, or if he is blatantly taking them somewhere else. Watch this and you tell me.
You can play church all your life. I never really understand what you're in.
Now that I think about it, this routine might have been a trick to get more money. They were too freaked out to do much about his ranting, and ended up riding around with him for an hour, and eventually they requested that he drop them off, even though they were not at their actual destination. How serious do you think Tony was being, and where do you think this conversation would have ended if Maddie and her friends had not stopped it sooner? These videos were taken at the annual Global Citizen Music Festival of 2018 in New York City. Everyone is enjoying the late night concert until a crowd of people suddenly start trying to escape and basically cause a stampede. Nobody knows what they are running from, and they won't find out until much later, but everybody is moving fast and afraid for their lives. Their voices are filled with panic, and raw fear fuels their every step as they grab their friends and try to get out as fast they can.
What the just happened?
Nobody knows what's going on. Do you know what's
I have no idea what's happening.
The situation becomes all too real when a head officer of the NYPD comes on stage and makes a brief and serious sounding announcement.
Please, everybody stop! Remain calm! Remain calm! Try and open up the fence in the back! We're trying to get everybody to remain calm! Try to move backwards!
Try to move backwards is all the police will say without any further explanation, which sends everyone into even more of an uproar. Those who make it out find the entrance is swarming with emergency vehicles, but still nobody knows why. As it turns out, the source of the commotion was a large steel barricade that fell over and made a loud banging noise. The bang carried throughout the venue and sounded like someone discharging a firearm, which caused a panic. I can only imagine how stressful this must have been for everybody, especially when none of them know what is wrong at the time. Fortunately, a strong police presence was able to keep the evacuation orderly and help stop people from trampling over each other. Remember when you were younger and you heard the twinkling song of the ice cream truck calling all the neighborhood out for a sweet treat? Well, would you have come running if it had sounded like this? YouTuber Sean Bob Guy published this clip in June of 2008, writing that this demonic ice cream van shows up every single day at his apartment complex. The thing always scares his cat. The cat is probably not the only one with hair on end. Usually parents tell their kids if strangers offer candy to run like heck, particularly strangers in white creepy vans. Well, this scenario isn't too far off. The ice cream truck's tune sounds nothing short of creepy, giving it a distinct horror movie vibe. You know, the warbling song right before Chucky pops out and takes a life. You can almost expect the clown from It to be serving up soft serves from this truck. Probably not the most inviting image. To add to the creepiness, the vehicle isn't even a truck but is literally a white van driving very slowly through a neighborhood to lure passers-by. And at the end of the video, it seems one is lured as a person comes running over to order from the creepiest ice cream van ever. YouTuber Lynn writes in the comments, if animals act weird around this sort of thing, it's definitely haunted. The rat nest adds, and the people who posted this were never seen again. One thing's for sure, this evil tune should never exist. YouTuber Renoa Super Genius has something random to share. A random secret door hidden in a closet. She says that this door leads to the crawl space under the house, and nice cool air always flows from the crack in the door. Since it's getting a bit hot in the house, and with no airflow, the YouTuber decides to open the crawl space door. Not only to cool the room, but to inspect, or mine as she puts it, the underground. After prying the crawl space up with a screwdriver, the YouTuber spans the area with a camera, and viewers see a whole lot of dirt, wires, and the structural foundation of the home. Not an unusual discovery below deck. When she descends down under, the YouTuber finds cables that don't connect to anything. As the exploration underground continues, she finds an old penny from 1951. One YouTuber in the comments, Kiji Who, notes, "Don't they put pennies in places like this to ward off evil spirits?" In fact, it's true that some superstitious beliefs suggest that copper protects homes from evil spirits and the evil eye. Copper is also believed by some to draw good fortune, which is one possible reason why this YouTuber found a penny beneath the home. While crawl spaces beneath homes are not uncommon, most don't go exploring them, so you can imagine what secrets might be hidden under so many homes across the world. You might want to avoid this forest because it's apparently home to brain-hungry zombies. Published by Adient in October of 2021. A man appears completely lost in the thick foliage of a forest at night. As he's walking, a terrifying noise is heard. He continues, periodically calling out to whatever awaits him in the dense trees.
Hello? Nang? Oi! Nang, sorry!
That's when he sees this. Something lying in the dirt crawls out, obviously to feast upon his brains. The man turns around and races out of the forest in fear. At one point, he is knocked to the ground. He looks around, whimpering in the darkness, but doesn't see anything around him. Did the zombie give up, or is he on the verge of an ambush? Jonathan FOD and his friends go exploring an abandoned meat processing facility building that everyone in town says is haunted, but the air quotes around ghost seems to mean he doesn't quite believe it.
So supposedly, there's a ghost that roams around here.
Soon he will.
Shit. Hey!
Who's here?
As Jonathan FOD and his two friends are ghost hunting in some kind of tool shed, they get what they think could be some paranormal evidence caught on tape.
What the? Bro, y'all heard that, bro? What the fuck is that? Bro. Is anybody there? Oh.
All three of them are on camera when these noises happen. You can see they are just standing there with their hands down, so it can't be them. Maybe Jonathan had a fourth person making all of that noise, but I don't see how they could have faked that ghost EVP at 8 minutes and 50 seconds. It really does sound like the muffled voice of a small child.
What is that? Bro, y'all heard that, bro? What the fuck is that?
Sylvia Likens was 16 years old when her life was taken in Indianapolis, Indiana. Likens was held captive for over 3 months by her caregiver, who subjected her to increasingly brutal things. These things started with no food and increasingly escalated, and lastly, confinement to the basement. The girl was tied there. On the evening of October 25th, a neighbor heard Likens' cries for help as she attempted to alert someone to her captivity in the basement. One neighbor did hear her crimes but did not inform police as the noise ceased at 3 a.m. Likens passed the next day on October 26. All involved were convicted in May of 1966. This video, posted by Redditor Gmas, shows the abandoned house of the teen. She was held captive in the basement here, which is from where the EVP is heard. As the two men walk away from the basement entrance at around 1 minute 53 seconds, you can hear a voice cry out, "Help me," clear as day. In response to one Redditor who suggests this sound is from children in the street, Gmas admits that it could be, but to him sounds like it's muffled from the inside the basement. He notes the voice sounds distorted, anguished, and not from a living human. "I'm usually quite a skeptic," he writes. but would class this video as one of the more compelling pieces of evidence I've seen. Do you find it equally compelling? If so, do you believe Likens' spirit is still sadly in this basement? YouTuber This Is Dan Bell explored a creepy apocalyptic looking hospital in May of 2016. The hospital in question must have been a Christian hospital, as there is a cross on the front of the building. From the outside looking in, the place does live up to its title. The windows are darkened, and it's clearly empty and in disrepair. Upon entering, Dan finds a storage room filled with broken chairs. The room alongside it is covered in garbage and remnants of the past. Closer inspection of the garbage that lines the floor shows that this place was a dumping ground for needles, or perhaps it is still used as one. Hypodermic needles completely cover one section of the floor, an enormous stockpile of them. As they explore the place further, they run into that singular image of a single wheelchair in a dark hallway that we've seen so much on this list, and in another hallway a single stretcher. This time though, neither moves. Perhaps this hospital isn't haunted like the others, which is strange because it looks like a ghost prime haunting grounds. The exploration does turn up other interesting things as well, but it's mainly a series of long, dark, scary hallways and rooms strewn with filth, much like what you'd expect an apocalyptic hospital to look like. Become a storm chaser or head to the cellar. This homeowner did both when the Cedar Rapids derecho storm blew into his neighborhood. Published to YouTube by E. Hindman in August of 2020. This footage shows a quick as lightning storm roll in, one that devastated Iowa for hundreds of miles around. Hinman said he daringly took some footage of the storm out his window, setting up a camera there before safeguarding himself in the basement. What he captured was half an hour of one of the most brutal storms you'll ever see. The video shows the storm rile up ferociously, wind and rain whipping through while tree branches roll like tumbleweed down the road. At some point the trees are just being thrown full stop. The sturdy looking pine that stands in Hinman's front yard, which has made it this far, doesn't make it out alive. Its stump breaks clean in half and another larger tree falls across the yard. They are blown away with the others. Hindman writes, the damage in this area of Iowa was like being hit by a 40-mile wide tornado. The storm took 4 lives, cut off power to nearly the entire city, contributed to the record-tying $16 billion worth of weather damage that impacted the US last year, according to the Washington Post. Vincenzo Manpro has a problem in his backyard that won't go away. A creepy tree creature that he has been unable to identify before or since. It faces away at first, its broad back turned to him. At the 1 minute mark it stretches its arms and legs and looks vaguely humanoid. Watch for yourself.
Oye, se está moviendo. Oh!
As time passes by, it seems to crouch into a hostile stance. Here it kind of looks like it's on all fours with its head held very low, quite similar to videos I've seen about the Rake creature. I think that it could be a monkey if he lives anywhere near the equator. Its fur color is pretty strange for one though. The sun is setting, but the camera has no problem picking up its bluish-white hue in the low light. Then it fades away from sight, possibly hiding out of fear, but also possibly following this man. It remains silent the whole time, and the way it slinks away makes him wary enough to retreat inside.
Chiudiamo. No. Ma che cazzo è?
I don't know how much danger he was in just now, but I respect his decision not to stick around and find out. A beautiful home built in 1934 turned ugly when in 2009, the real estate mogul who bought the home took his wife's life, claiming the woman went missing on a hike. A search began for his wife but turned up nothing. A year later, the man put a new addition on his home that raised enough suspicion for police to request a search warrant. They found the wife buried beneath the home. The man was given more than 20 years behind bars, and the house remains abandoned. Published by Dark Exploration Films, this walkthrough of the home is incredibly disturbing. Taking viewers through the grounds and inside the home, the explorer comes upon the hole in which the woman was buried.
Let's go into the room that everybody wants to see. So this room was added in 2009. And once the police found out about this construction, they were a little skeptical.
Many in the comments are bewildered that anyone could live in the home they buried their wife in without getting telltale-hearted to the point of insanity. Others feel a sense of darkness and foreboding and even a feeling of sadness there. Surely the woman's spirit remains. A postal worker is moving some mail around an office building and summons an elevator. There's an overhead light in the third camera that flickers from the very beginning of the video onwards, which may or may not be an indication of something paranormal. Notice how this electrical disturbance briefly spreads to the elevator as soon as the doors open. So far this could just be a technical malfunction, but that doesn't explain what happens next. Watch as the papers start fluttering on their own despair there, being no possible draft inside of the cramped space. I can't help but notice how the papers stop fluttering every time he looks over, only to resume again when he stops paying attention. It definitely looks paranormal to me. Again, the lights flicker on and off as soon as the doors open, almost as if a paranormal entity is getting on and off the elevator with him. He notices that the lights are flashing an awful lot down here, but he chooses to ignore it and keeps moving. A short while later, this phantom businessman partially emerges from a realm beyond our own. I have trouble believing this part is not computer-generated effects, but that doesn't necessarily mean the whole video is fake. Maybe everything up to this part was real, and someone added in this final scare at the end. Or worse still, maybe I'm wrong and this ghost really was behind him. While most hospitals have some stories to tell, I'm guessing a World War II hospital has even more grisly ones on the docket. In this video, published by Subi in November of 2017, he and his friends explore an abandoned World War II hospital in Milton Keynes. For some reason, they chose the dead of night for their exploration, so straight off the mark, the hospital looks scary simply because it's cloaked in darkness. The only guiding light is the beam from Subi's flashlight. The crew enters in through a broken window. The pair have apparently been in the hospital before because one of them says he's not going down a certain direction because that's where they hear things all the time. At one point they stop to listen because they both say they've heard something. It isn't clear what they've heard, but they continue on regardless. It sounds as if there's loads of glass on the ground as they walk through the building, cracking and breaking the shards beneath their boots. While the hospital doesn't turn up anything truly mind-blowing, the idea that World War II patients were once brought here conjures up images of scary times, or maybe that's just my imagination. Mocha Vids and his friends are making a random YouTube video late at night when a lone stranger starts walking close behind.
Dude, there's like a creeper following us.
After a while, they turn around only to find the man briskly gaining on them. Mocha Vids quickly considers his options and ultimately decides not to confront the person.
You guys want to run? Should we run? Oh, just missed the house down, dude.
The audio gets real choppy during this next part, but I think they are basically saying that the man is darting between houses and acting really weird.
Oh, just missed the house down, dude. He went on the side. Inside.
Seconds later, he apparently charges at them.
Oh shit.
It's hard to say if the danger presented in this video is real or dramatized. You never actually see the person run at them, but at the same time that also kind of makes the video more realistic because they are too busy getting away to catch anything. Either way, they manage to run back home and the incident is soon forgotten. Let me know if you think they really were being chased or not based on what you've seen here. Vision seen by many is sometimes diagnosed as mass hysteria, but when it's caught on video, you cannot deny its existence. This video was published in February of 2012. The clip shows a group of people staring at the sun over the trees. At first, the camera appears to be just capturing the blazing sunlight, but as it focuses in, you can clearly see the shape of a woman within that blinding light. The clip, which has gone viral, was filmed in the Ivory Coast. The day prior to this apparition, locals had seen something which appeared to be a blue halo in the sky, a case that many thought was extraterrestrial. But when the apparition appeared using infrared technology, locals instead believed they were witnessing a miracle. Government officials tried to minimize the sighting, saying it was nothing, but some locals believe the apparition may simply be Mary casting her mercy and benevolence over the impoverished region. Whether you call this vision a miracle or not, coupled with the halo that is said to have appeared during the preceding days, these startling forms in the clouds are unexplainable. This Irish family was testing out their new baby monitor when they monitored something incredibly alarming, published by the Hidden Underbelly 2.0 in October of 2018. The footage shows Alan Smith watching the monitor in another room as his wife plays with the baby in its crib. When the man pans up to see his wife's face, however, he captures something unexpected. Over her shoulder in the connecting bathroom, a creepy face peers around the corner before vanishing completely. The man hurries upstairs, shouting at his wife that he saw something behind her.
Oh, you can. Oh, one sec. Let me check if I can get your face. Say hello, Lisa. What the Lisa! Who's behind you? Is there actually anyone behind you? Seriously?
There is, of course, no one in the bathroom. So to whom does this creepy face belong? Is this a cryptoid, a glitch, or just another scary video going viral on social media? If you encountered ghost footprints at your workplace, would you be able to continue working there as though nothing happened? Published to YouTube by Korean channel Saiwon Yoon in April of 2020, the uploader writes, "The footprints of ghosts caught by the CCTV in the recording studio." The surveillance footage shows a recording studio at night. After capturing an odd glitch on camera in a certain area of the studio, which the uploader notes look like footprints, the crew sets up some paranormal sensors to see whether or not any spirit activity exists in the room. As you can see, the sensors are blowing up. They indicate something is moving in the darkness. Imagine sensing a paranormal presence in the studio, something you cannot see with the human eye, and then having that presence confirmed via these sensors. The idea certainly disturbs some sound technicians. YouTuber Hyansik Woo wrote in the comments, "I was also surprised when I watched the video. I can't broadcast alone. I can't go to the studio at night. Would you be able to after seeing this? Because this footage appears real to me." If you fear snakes, you might want to hide under the covers for this one. YouTuber Falcon X-Ray published this footage in November of 2015 with the description, "Just started cleaning the pool for summer. Came home and found a snake having a swim cooling down from the heat. The snake looks to be about 4 feet long and is quite thick. The snake is shown circling the pool's edge, probably trying to find its way out. Once or twice it does creep its head up the wall of the pool, but it doesn't make it very far. While the snake's slithering movements in the water are creepy enough, one wonders if this breed is poisonous. What kind of snake is it, whatever the monster is?" The uploader said that he built a cage and kept it. Don't know if I'd want to keep that thing in my home, but I'm sure he's happy with his new pet. Want to find out what it's like inside your washing machine? An underwater vortex may just do the trick. Published to YouTube by Michael H. in June of 2013 and shot in May of the same year. This footage demonstrates the chaos of an underwater vortex. Michael explains that while scuba diving in Sirocco, the divers swam straight into the vortex, not realizing what it was. He writes, 3 divers were caught in its current forces, one for several minutes. All made it out and we all learned what a vortex looks like. Let's learn too. The scuba shots underwater at first look serene, calm, but soon the divers are spinning. They appear panicked as the water becomes more tumultuous and bubbly. What looks like a tornado underwater takes hold of them, and it will not let go. An underwater vortex is a lasso of bubbles that swirls and spins and can become turbulent depending on the climate and surroundings. Luckily for these divers, this vortex eventually slowed enough so that they could escape. Some pufferfish may not be so lucky. This dive got really dangerous really quickly when the diver decided to dive the St. Clair River, which drains Lake Huron, into Lake St. Clair. He wasn't expecting something dangerous to happen, but danger always seeks adventurers. As he was swimming, a massive freighter came straight at the diver, forcing him to cling to the rope that is secured to the rock bed in order to pull himself closer to the rocks and away from the freighter ship. The camera goes out of focus as the diver's pulse quickens when he loses balance. Due to the freight passing overhead, fear is in the freighter's propeller, which is spinning only a few short meters from the diver's head. Most viewers of this diver's video commented just to say how dangerous this was. Locker Gremlin 1 also noted, "Watching this video gave me anxiety. You're not alone, Locker Gremlin. Imagine you saw a flicker of something out of the corner of your eye, and that something turned out to be a scary encounter that would haunt your dreams." YouTuber All Around Lifestyle published this video in May of 2016 explaining, "We just got done exploring a huge abandoned car park, and as we were leaving, I spotted something yellow laying on the ground. But when he told his friends he'd seen something, they were doubtful. He started going down again," he wrote, "and this time someone or something started shouting at us. What was this someone or something? A potentially crazy person who started screaming at the boys, a sound you wouldn't expect to hear coming out of a human being. And like they said, they hightailed it out of there. Frightened, they raced to the roof of the building as fast as they could. Thankfully, no one was harmed in the making of this video." Bernie DMJ1 is deleting security cam videos off his Ring app when he sees something really bizarre walk across his driveway. Or rather, it's what he doesn't see, the presence of a reflection but the lack of a body to cause it. A shadow passes in front of the car and yet no one can be seen. He says this is a ghost or a shadow figure sighting for certain, but I'd like to offer a non-paranormal explanation. Maybe this is the shadow of someone across the street. A UFO appears to burn in midair as it stalls directly over Area 51, in front of plenty of witnesses. I think this video is probably CGI, because the smoke almost looks like it could be a looping animation. But if anything like this were to ever happen on Earth, Area 51 is where it would most likely take place, so I'm not entirely discounting the legitimacy of this video. Gabby and Amy are TickTocking at their university, but the extra eerie all-white figure behind them steals the spotlight. I don't know if this is a guy creeping on them or what, but it doesn't move at all the whole time and looks really tall, coming up about halfway to the door behind. This could also be a statue, but it looks out of place and barely there, like it could vanish at any moment. Thank you so much for getting me to 20,000 subscribers here on my Clips channel. If you want to support, please press that subscribe button. Let's get to 30,000 subscribers next. Thank you.